Elizabeth at Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. So today I have another Jane Austen July video for you, and I wanted to talk about adaptations of her novels. Which ones are there? Which ones have I seen? And which ones do I think are the best? So, I am only going to be talking with two exceptions about ones that have been filmed in my lifetime. I was born in the early 90s. Why? Because otherwise there are like 1,000 Pride and Prejudice adaptations that we would need to talk about, and I don't want to do that. It would be a very long video. The two exceptions are going to be Mansfield Park and Northanger Abbey, both of which have miniseries from the 80s that I'm going to be talking about, largely because there aren't many adaptations of Mansfield Park or Northanger Abbey. There's actually more of Mansfield Park, which feels crazy, but okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna mention those. I have not seen all of the ones I'm going to talk about. I will be talking about first the ones that I have seen, and then the ones that I haven't. And we're gonna go novel by novel in roughly publication order. And we will end with like kind of some miscellaneous ones of some of her other works. I feel like that was so long and rambly, and I'm so sorry. Let's jump in. So first up, we will be talking about Sense and Sensibility. And I have seen two adaptations. The first is, of course, the 1995 film directed by Ang Lee and starring Emma Thompson, Kate Winslet, Alan Rickman, and Hugh Grant. I have seen this so many times, and I do really, really love this version. And I was thinking that I might watch it with my husband this year for Jane Austen July, but I'm actually decided we're probably not going to do that, mostly because we have not really been home together for weekends at all. And we basically only have one weekend left, and I'm not going to be here for it. But I do really love this adaptation. The other one that I have seen is the 2008 miniseries. So this was adapted by Andrew Davies, who's like royalty in the period drama adaptation world. Directed by John Alexander, and then starring Hattie Morahan and Charity Wakefield as Eleanor and Marianne Dashwood. I have seen this twice, and you would think I would remember a little bit more of it than I do. I remember it being really great and loving it, and ultimately a more detailed adaptation than the film, because, you know, this is several episodes, whereas this is only, what, is it even 2 hours? Does it say the runtime on the back? They used to do that. Do they still do that? I also can't see, so, you know, there's that. The miniseries has more time to do stuff. The movie is easier to watch because it's not a miniseries. Like I said, I do remember this being really fantastic, and I remember really liking the vibe of it, but I do need to rewatch it. Because the fact of the matter is, where I've seen this twice, I've seen the film a lot. Because it's a film. And again, easier to watch than a miniseries. So, as of right now, I would say I do like the 95 film better, mainly because I can remember it better. That might completely change once I rewatch the miniseries. And I'm really curious to know which one of these you think is better, if you have seen them both. I did want to mention two other Sense and Sensibility adaptations. The first one being the 2024 TV movie that aired on Hallmark and features a mostly black cast, if not entirely black cast. I did not get to watch this because we don't have cable, and I'm not actually sure where it would be streaming now. So obviously it originally aired on the Hallmark channel, which, having no cable, I do not have. but I'm sure it's streaming somewhere now. I just would need to look up where and see if I have access to it. I am curious to see it though, but I don't really know anything about it. I feel like I heard a little bit about it leading up to its release and then nothing about it after its release. And then the other one that I want to mention is not actually out yet. This is the 2026 film that is coming out in October, being directed by Georgia Oakley and starring Daisy Edgar Jones and Esme Creed Miles as Eleanor and Marianne. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. It has a lot of similar vibes to the 2005 Prejudice, which I love. We'll be talking about that in a minute. And I did really enjoy the trailer, and I think the costumes look very beautiful and the cinematography looks great. I just wasn't sure why everything was so brown. Did anybody else notice that? It's very brown. Like, the 2005 Pride and Prejudice has very earthy tones, but there is color. Like, Jane is mostly dressed in blue. I remember very distinctly Lydia in yellow, Miss Bingley in a very gorgeous red dress. But I felt like everything in the Sense and Sensibility trailer, from the dresses to the scenery to the furniture, was brown. I was like, why is it so brown? It also felt very darkly lit, which is just something that modern films and TV shows seem to be going toward that I don't like, because I can't see. I can't see with dark lighting, guys. I want to be able to see what's on my screen. Please, please. So, like I said, I am cautiously optimistic. I also, their hair was down for almost the entirety of the trailer, which, you know, would not be a thing in the time period. If they're in public or even just like in the house, like on a regular day, their hair's gonna be up if they are young ladies who are out, which both Eleanor and Marianne are. You're getting a lesson in hair history for a moment, sorry. So in lots of scenes in the trailer, they both have their hair down. I could see having Marianne have her hair down fairly frequently as like kind of a sign of her sensibility and her romanticism. But Eleanor, who embodies sense and decorum, should have her hair up. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I am cautiously optimistic. It gives very much vibes of the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. And I probably will be going to see it in the theaters. Now we go to Pride and Prejudice. And I have seen two adaptations of this. The first being, of course, the 1995 miniseries that was adapted by Andrew Davies. He's gonna come up a lot. And starring Jennifer, is it pronounced Ely? I don't entirely know. And of course, Colin Firth in a wet shirt, very noticeably. I don't know if I've seen this once or twice, which I know seems crazy. To be fair, it's very long. It is 6 episodes, and they are like not short episodes, if I remember correctly. This is good. It is very accurate to the book. Not entirely. They add some stuff like Colin Firth in a wet shirt, which I'm not going to complain about. And I don't think anyone's going to complain about. But it is known as being probably the more accurate Pride and Prejudice adaptation. And then, of course, we have the 2005 film directed by Joe Wright, starring Keira Knightley, and I can never remember his name, Matthew Macfadyen. Now, this is my favorite Pride and Prejudice. Is it less accurate to the book? Yes. Of course, again, we have the whole film versus mini-series thing when you have 6 hour or more, I don't remember, long episodes versus an hour and 30 minutes. Like that's a lot of that's a lot of difference in time. You can include more in the six episodes. Also changed some things in the 2005 film for more dramatic effect, like Lady Catherine showing up in the middle of the night at Longbourn instead of, coming during the day like a normal person, which is how it is in the book and in the 95 series, because you would never show up in the middle of the night like you do. Things are a little more amped up for the drama of it all. And the first proposal is taking place in the rain instead of in Mr. Collins and Charlotte Lucas's house. However, I have a theory that whichever Pride and Prejudice you watched first is the one that you ultimately are in love with. And I did watch the 2005 movie first. And I think this was my first ever experience with Jane Austen, aside from episodes of Wishbone. So it's very special to me. I'm also in love with Keira Knightley, so, I really love the cinematography here, and the soundtrack is amazing. And I do love the costuming. A lot of the costuming is kind of pre-Regency. And I know that that's because Joe Wright doesn't like Regency gowns because they look like night dresses, which they do. Sometimes they do. So I know that some of the costuming is actually not quite like time accurate. There's a lot here that's time accurate. Elizabeth Bennet has her hair down a fair amount. But again, I think that can work for the character, as I said with Marianne in the new Sense and Sensibility adaptation. So, but yeah, so since this was the first one I ever saw, and it's really special to me, this is ultimately my favorite Pride and Prejudice. And then I do want to mention another one that is not out yet, and this is the 2026 Netflix TV series, written by Dolly Alderton and directed by Euros Lynn, and starring Emma Corrin as Elizabeth and Jack Lowden as Darcy. I saw the trailer, it was only a teaser trailer. It wasn't like a full trailer, so it didn't really give very much. I think they are borrowing very much on the vibe of the 2005 film. Although I will say her hair looked period accurate, which I applaud them for, because obviously we don't like period accurate hair in a lot of adaptations. So, I don't know. I am nervous about this, really because of how badly Netflix fumbled Persuasion, which we'll talk about. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna wait to watch it until I hear from some other people. Next up, we have Mansfield Park, and I have only seen one adaptation of Mansfield Park, and that is the 2007 TV film directed by Ian B. McDonald and starring Billie Piper as Fanny. I watched this when it aired on PBS Masterpiece Theater. And I don't really remember it because I watched it in 2007. So, I do want to rewatch it. I don't know. I remember not really liking it that much, but I don't know if that's because I didn't like Mansfield Park at that point and I thought it was boring, or if because it was actually bad. I will say that Billie Piper's hair is way too modern in this. I remember even thinking that in 2007, I'm like, I don't think that's how they wore their hair then. But yeah, I really don't remember enough about this to say much. There are two other Mansfield Park adaptations I want to check out. The first is the 1999 film, directed by Patricia Rozema and starring Frances O'Connor as Fanny. I know that a lot of people have issues with this one because of how much they changed the character of Fanny. And she's made into kind of like a more of a Austen herself personality rather than Fanny's personality. Because of course people think Fanny is boring. But I am curious to see it, and I know that it kind of amps up, like a lot, the stuff about slavery and the plantation in the West Indies. So I'm curious, you know, I wanna see it, but I am aware that most people don't think it's a good adaptation. And then the other one is the 1983 TV series done by the BBC, which is apparently more accurate to the book, at least according to Wikipedia, which literally calls out the 99 film. Unlike Patricia Rozema's 1999 film, it is faithful to Jane Austen's novel. Okay. So this was written by Kenneth Taylor, directed by David Giles. And who do we have as people? Oh, that's a name. Sylvestre Latuzel as Fanny Price. I never hear anyone talk about this, but it is available for free on Amazon Prime, and I actually think I'm going to start watching it later today because I'm curious. I'm curious to see it. I'm not going to watch it with my husband though, because I know he's not going to like Mansfield Park. Like, Emma, I knew I could get him on board with, Northanger Abbey, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, I'm pretty sure he'll enjoy. He's not going to want to watch Mansfield Park. I know that. I will be watching this alone. But I'm curious to hear if any of you have seen the 83 series and what you think of it. And now we move on to Emma. I have seen 2 adaptations of Emma. The first is the 2009 miniseries written by Sandy Welch and directed by Jim O'Hanlon, starring Romola Gary as Emma and Johnny Lee Miller as Mr. Knightley. I love this series. This is probably my second favorite Austen adaptation, period. Like, first it's Pride and Prejudice 2005, and then it's Emma 2009. I love this one. I think it is such a great adaptation of the book. I think Johnny Lee Miller is the perfect Mr. Knightley. And I do really love Romola Gary as Emma. I think she does a great job. The other one that I have seen is, of course, the 2020 film directed by Autumn de Wilde and starring Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma. And do we have his name? I don't know. A guy. I do really like this adaptation as well, but I like them for different reasons. I think that Anya Taylor-Joy's Emma encapsulates kind of the more mean side of Emma and snobby side, which Emma is, as written by Jane Austen, Emma can be mean, and she is snobby. Like, that is how Jane Austen wrote her. She is also very kind and very naive and, you know, thinks she knows best. But I think that Anya Taylor-Joy really gets that kind of mean snobbiness down, whereas Romola Gary is really more of the kind of young, naive, thinks she knows best, but, you know, she's a 21-year-old girl and so therefore knows nothing. I think she captures that better. So they're both Emma. It's just different. I will say, I do not really like it's not that I don't like the actor. I think he's a perfectly good actor. But what is his name? Johnny Flynn as Mr. Knightley. It's not that I think he's a bad actor. I think he's a bad Knightley. So Mr. Knightley is supposed to be considerably older than Emma. And I think that they seem way too of the same age. Whereas in the miniseries, yes, she seems young, he seems older, and it really kind of gets that dynamic in a way that the 2020 film doesn't. I also feel like the 2020 film doesn't do enough with the Jane Fairfax storyline, which, like, is kind of a big part of the book. You know, I feel like Jane Fairfax is a very, very, like, just kind of, like, she's there, but we just skim by her, kind of. And I think that that does a disjustice to the story itself, because she's, you know, a really important part of the story. So that is one of, or I guess those are my two complaints with the 2020 film, is that I don't think Johnny Flynn is right for Knightley, and I don't think they did justice to the Jane Fairfax storyline. I do love the cinematography and the costumes and the sets. Gorgeous, gorgeous. But ultimately, the 2009 is my favorite of these. There are also the two 1996 films that I have never seen. The first one is the Gwyneth Paltrow one, directed by Douglas McGarth. I have never seen this. I don't actually like Gwyneth Paltrow as an actress. So whereas I just didn't like Johnny Flynn for Mr. Knightley, I don't, like, he's a fine actor. I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow as an actress. I never have. I don't know why. I just something. So I have no desire to watch this movie. I have seen clips of it, but no desire. There is also a 1996 TV film directed by Diarmuid? Diarmi? Just put it up here somewhere. Last name Lawrence, that I can pronounce. And written by Andrew Davies, because of course it is. And starring Kate Beckinsale as Emma, and Mark Strong as Mr. Knightley. I know the name Kate Beckinsale. Beckinsale. I know that name. Why do I know that name? I have never seen this. I don't know much about it. According to reviews, it was a more accurate adaptation than the Gwyneth Paltrow one, so I don't know. Would love to hear some opinions on that one as well. So we're actually going to do Persuasion before Northanger Abbey, and that's just because of something that I want to say about the 2022 Persuasion that leads into the Northanger Abbey. But I've actually only seen one adaptation of Persuasion as well, and that is the 2007 TV film that is directed by Adrian Shergold, starring Sally Hawkins as Anne Elliot and Rupert Penry Jones as Wentworth. I really like this version. I've seen it a few times. I've not seen it since I bought it or was given it on DVD, but I remember really liking it. I remember because I read it before I watched it, before I read the book. So I remember I watched it, really liked it, read the book, loved the book, and then rewatched this and realized that there were some elements that I don't know if they changed or if they didn't make it in or what, but that I thought like should have been different. But I do need to rewatch this because, again, I remember really liking it, but there is also a 1995 film directed by Roger Michael and starring Amanda Roots as Anne Elliot and Kieran Hines as Wentworth. I know a lot of people really love this one, so I do want to check it out. I just haven't had the chance yet. I don't know why, but I feel like this is the Persuasion I see people talk about more than the 2007 one. And then, of course, we do have to mention the 2022 Netflix film, directed by Carrie Cracknell and starring Dakota Johnson. Yikes. I was incredibly skeptical when the trailer came out. And I was like, this looks bad. Like, this just looks bad. It looks like not Persuasion. What have they done to Anne Elliot? Like, it doesn't look good. So I didn't watch it. And I have heard many people speak about it. And that has, yeah, confirmed that I was correct to not watch this. Incredibly like an incredible misunderstanding of the source material is my impression. Like making Anne Elliot into this kind of awkward, like kind of snarky girl, and that's just not Anne Elliot. What are you doing? What are you doing? And there's like, it sounds like there's like fourth wall breaks and stuff. Like it's kind of very, I don't know. And the reason I wanted to talk about this before moving into Northanger Abbey is because I think an adaptation like that really could have worked for Northanger Abbey. So I'm like, why did you do Persuasion? If you wanted like a kind of awkward heroine who does stupid things, Catherine Morland's right there. Like, she's right there. And if you want something that's like very meta and you can do fourth wall breaks with, Northanger Abbey's the perfect one to do it with. So I don't know why they chose Persuasion, Jane Austen's most serious book, to do that too, but okay. I'm just not gonna watch it. And this is why I'm skeptical of Netflix's Pride and Prejudice, because I'm like, I don't trust you people. I don't trust you at all. So, moving into Northanger Abbey, I have only seen one adaptation, and that is the 2007 TV film written by Andrew Davies and directed by John Jones, starring Felicity Jones as Catherine Morland and J.J. Field as Henry Tilney. I really like this. I just watched it a few years ago with my husband, and I thought I had seen it, and apparently I had not, in fact, seen it. But we had such a good time with this. I really like how they do the kind of gothic imaginings that Catherine has going on. It was just really good fun. And this was actually the first time that my husband watched, well, it wasn't the first time he'd watched a Jane Austen adaptation, because he'd watched the 2005 Pride and Prejudice and was like, eh. This was the first time he watched a Jane Austen adaptation and really enjoyed it. Like, he had such a good time with this. And yeah, I do really like it. I think it's a great adaptation of the book. They changed some stuff, but you kind of have to when you're, you know, but it's really good fun. There is also a 1987 TV film that was directed by Giles Foster and written by Maggie Wadey. And I never hear anybody talking about this one. So I have no knowledge of it. I don't know what people think of it. I've never even seen a trailer for it or like parts of it, nothing. So if you've seen the 87 Northanger Abbey, I would really like to know about that as well. I think that Northanger Abbey is probably the Austen book that is most due for a new adaptation. Like, yes, the 2007 movie is great, but I think it could be really fun to do a 2027 or 8 version of Northanger Abbey. And like, again, if you wanted to do what they did to Persuasion in 2022, you could have just done Northanger Abbey. Like, you could do a lot of fun stuff with that. And I think that, honestly, I think people would really like it. I think people adapt Pride and Prejudice over and over again, and even Emma and Sense and Sensibility, because it's kind of the safe option. Like, oh, well, yes, of course people are going to watch Pride and Prejudice. It's her most famous novel. But I think a modern audience would really love Northanger Abbey. It's fun. Like, it's really fun. So, I don't know. I hope that somebody in the next few years gets on that, because I would like to see that. Instead of another Pride and Prejudice adaptation, Netflix, we don't need it. We don't need it at all. And then I have like kind of a miscellaneous, which is just 2 other adaptations that are of Jane Austen's works, but not her main novels. The first one is the Sanditon TV series, adapted by Andrew Davies. Because of course it is. And is that who directed it? I guess not, because it's like a multi-series thing. It's got 3 seasons. I watched the first few episodes back when it first aired in 2019. Or I guess 2020 in the US. I watched it on Masterpiece Theater. And I was interested. I didn't like that they seemed to be going in a Elizabeth Darcy direction for the main characters of Charlotte Haywood and Sydney Parker. But I was like, I'm interested in this. Unfortunately, I don't have cable. I was with my parents when it first went on, and then went back to school, didn't have cable. Then the pandemic happened, continued not to have cable, and it was a whole thing. And I just never went back to it, especially because I heard a lot of people did not like the ending of season 1, and that it was like very not at all what Jane Austen would do. So that made me really skeptical. I do have PBS Passport now, which means that I can watch a lot of these Masterpiece Theater ones finally, and I do want to watch Sanditon. I'm a little nervous about, because I know that the end of season 1, people did not like it. Like, my therapist talked about how she didn't like it. So, I don't know. I want to watch it, but I'm skeptical. And the final adaptation I want to mention is Love and Friendship from 2016, directed by Whit Stillman, and which is based not on Love and Friendship by Jane Austen, but rather on Lady Susan. It stars Kate Beckinsale. I bet that's where I remember that name from. And also maybe she has other roles and other things, I don't know, but anyway. I do really want to see this, and I remember wanting to see it when it came out, but it came out when I was living in the UK and had no access to much. So I didn't get to see it, and then I just haven't gotten around to it, but I've heard it's actually really good. And I know that I'm pretty sure Katie from Books and Things really likes it. I don't get the title change. I mean, I can see if you didn't want to name it Lady Susan, but why would you go with Love and Friendship, which is a name of a different Jane Austen work? Given her juvenilia, but still. Anyway, I don't know. I am really curious because Lady Susan is such a different type of character for Jane Austen, for like the main character. And I do want to watch this. So those are some Jane Austen adaptations, and which ones are my favorite, which ones I still need to see, which ones I am never ever going to see because it looks terrible. 2022 Persuasion. Let me know down in the comments, what are some of your favorite Jane Austen adaptations? Which ones of those I have not seen would you recommend I watch? Do you know about these ones that I feel like nobody talks about, like the Northanger Abbey and the Mansfield Park from the 80s? What did you think of them? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.